All right, now we are live. Welcome to the Add1Challenge finale. We have two finale this time. That means we're giving away two prizes from the Add1Challenge. So what the Add1Challenge is about is basically we're a community of language learners. The goal is to be able to hold a 15-minute conversation in 90 days, and each Add1Challenge we give away a prize at the end of the Add1Challenge. And now we are trying to catch up. We're a little bit behind, so we are doing a double finale with both Add1Challenge 18 and 19. All right, so let's quickly introduce our guests first. First, we have, let's see, is Richard? Blythe, can you go first? Oh, Richard's here.
Hello.
Hey, Richard.
How are things?
Great.
Yeah, so do you want to introduce myself, Brian?
Go ahead, yes. And
okay. My name's Richard, and I quite like languages. They're nice. Now I've been studying languages for a little while, and I have a little meetup every year with a few hundred people or more, 400, 500, who knows how many, at the Polyglot Conference. And it's something that started 5 years ago in Budapest, and this year we're going at the end of October to hopefully see the Northern Lights in Reykjavik in Iceland.
Wow.
And look forward to seeing as many people there as possible. I have a page on Facebook called Speaking Fluently, where I just put fun little things that I find and talk about languages with people, and get the very great opportunity to talk to people like these great finalists here and other people in the Add1 community to talk and follow their language stories of learning lovely, lovely languages like me.
Great.
So thank you for having me around.
Thank you for coming again, Richard. All right. Next, Clyde or Kevin?
Okay, I'll go. Hi guys, yeah, my name is Kevin Morehouse. I am an avid language learner and a veteran of, I think, 4 Add1 challenges, and I'm just very happy and honored to be in the company I am. You know, with Richard and Vlad, and of course all you wonderful other language learners in the Add1 challenge. And I don't know, I run or ran a blog called Language Hero on mindset and motivation. And just now I do various writing projects around the community. So if you go to one of Richard's wonderful conferences, you might see me there one day.
Right, great. Thank you, Kevin. All right, last but not least.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vladimir Skluteti. I come from Slovakia. I work as an interpreter of Mandarin, Chinese, Slovak, and English. I have a bachelor's degree in Chinese studies, and I do a lot of research about Chinese characters, so I did at least. And I'm very happy to be here again, and thank you very much for the invitation, Brian. Very happy to see Richard too, because he disappeared.
Okay, 1 second, guys. They need to. People can't see our link, so I just want to make sure that people get the right link. Let's see. All right. Try that one. Okay, so thank you for all the judges for taking your time to be with us and watching their videos and their progress for in their Add1 challenge, and helping us picking a winner. So before that, let's just answer some questions first. Let's see. Let's just do a short version of answering some questions from the polyglot, so then we can jump right in to introducing the people who are here from the finalists. Okay, so do you guys have any questions, people who are in the call? Jojo, Kristen, Eleni?
Oh yeah, well, sure, yeah. This question come up several times, like on the Facebook group. But I would love to ask our polyglots who are here on the air right now. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's kind of like felt like I'm like language promiscuous, for lack of a better word. I fall in love easily with different languages. How do you, or have you ever had a chance to like actively learn more than one language at the same time, and manage that, or do you even suggest that or recommend that? Because it's the classic case of too many languages, too little time. You know what I mean?
I think probably get ready for different responses here. Go on, Vlad. You go first. Your voice was there first. You lovely man.
Yeah, I think we had this question several times already, like if it is a good idea to learn more than one language at a time. I personally, I'm against it. I think that it's a good thing to concentrate just on one. If you start from zero, or if you are not at a, at least an intermediate level. Of course, if you know several languages, you need to work with them at the same time with all of them, or ideally with all of them, but not learning from scratch. I think it's just not effective. It's more effective to learn first one, get a basis, and then maybe switch to another. So I know it's tempting, and if you just want to read a little bit here and there, then it's great. But in order to acquire the real skill, you need to spend a lot of time with just one, then build it up to maybe intermediate, and then start with another one, in my opinion. So
good, thank you.
I'd just say I get what Vlad's saying. For me personally, it would really depend on the languages. So a new language, for example, like 2 new languages that are very different to anything else I speak, I potentially follow Vlad's advice myself. What I tend to do is I learn a language that's similar to languages I already speak, and I may do other ones on the side that are very different, or vice versa. One that's very different, and on the side I would play around. So at the moment, I'm learning Indonesian, and I've got a couple on the side as well. So I'm doing Slovak, and which I've just started, and I'm also revising my Icelandic, ready for the Polyglot conference in October. So yeah, I mean, it works for me. I know people it doesn't work for, and so what I say always is, you should try it, and remember that it's not the end of the world if you think that it's not working for you and you're better concentrating one at a time. The languages aren't going anywhere. You can always try again in a few months' time or in a year's time and pick it up, and there's no shame in doing that. So I say go with what feels right and what works for your life. And yeah, but I definitely feel your promiscuity. I think that promiscuity in the language community is completely fine. Not in the language community, of course, in the language community, languages that we're studying. I'm not advocating anything more than that.
Awesome advice. Thanks, Richard.
Oh God. I'll just pop in. I have kind of an intermediate answer, a mix of both Vlad and Richard's answer. I personally don't do more than one language at once because I've tried that. Like when I was in high school, I did Italian and Spanish at the same time, and at like early levels, at like say below like a B2 level with very close languages, if you try to start them both at the same time, you're probably going to confuse them. So I think it's much better to get one to a high level and then start the next one. That way they won't interfere so much. And then also just it's a matter of experience. I mean, Richard, for example, has lots and lots and lots of language experiences, so he knows how to manage his time and energy and his effort to be able to do things like learn Indonesian and Slovak and what have you all at once without a whole lot of trouble. So I'd say if you're learning more distant languages, or if you're learning, or if you have a lot of experience, then go for it. Otherwise, just stick to one at a time until you know what you can do, what you're capable of.
Thanks, Kevin. Awesome insights from you guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, I have a really basic question. Besides flashcard, how do you learn vocabulary the fastest way? This is from Luke from Add1Challenge. besides flashcard?
Unfortunately, I don't have my books here with me, but I just read and I make little notes directly into onto the pages that I'm reading, and then every page or every 2 pages I review. Then every 10 pages I review. It's the best thing that works for me, I think, because you really have the words in context, and they stick much better than flashcards, I think. For me personally, at least, flashcards didn't work for me at all. So I like to read a lot.
I'll jump in here just to mix up the order a little bit. Yeah, I don't like flashcards a whole lot. I've always been a much bigger fan of like sentences, like words in context. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can do flashcards with the whole sentence and then just focus on whatever individual word you want to learn. But always take individual words in context, because by themselves, individual words don't really mean anything. Your words gain their meaning from the words that surround them. So I would recommend that.
I'd agree that in context is good. I think that learning words that actually have a use for you and that you're likely to use in the very first stages of language learning make most sense. So there's no point going through an entire list of all professions that you could ever possibly manage to find if you just started out learning Spanish or any other language, because realistically, you're only going to talk about the professions of the people that are close to you in your circle of friends or family, or the impact in your own life. So I think trying to be sensible, the types of vocabulary you want to learn. There's a tendency as well. I find when people learn languages that they think they just need to just learn everything, and of course it's not true. Think about the kinds of things you want to say. Even make a note of the kinds of words that you're thinking in English or in your native language or in another language you already speak, of the kinds of things that you really realistically need to say and that you want to be able to express, and try and learn them first. And then if you're actually learning the vocabulary and you've got, say, a list of 10 words or something, try sticking them somewhere that's in view, that you just see every now and again, so that you're reviewing them. You can actually just write them down in a list, and instead of using flashcards, just have them on a piece of paper and cover up one side and check whether or not you understand them, and then whether or not you can reproduce them. Those very old-fashioned ways work for me. The flashcards I've tried at different stages, in these sort of electronic form. I sometimes find that I remember them as just lists of words, that kind of like a memory exercise that you then later forget, because they've not got this context and because they're not necessarily words that I've chosen to learn because I need them. So make sure that they are words that you need, and then try out a few techniques for memorizing them.
So is there any other questions for the people in the room? Kristen, Helena?
Yeah. Oh. The more languages you speak, the more confused you get when you try to speak them. Do you have any tips on how to have only one in your brain when you talk to someone? I'm trying to learn 2 languages. Well, I continue to learn a language I started with, and I'm learning a new language, but at the same time I get confused, so I answer my teacher in the wrong language sometimes.
It takes practice. There's no really easy way of answering this. Some people find it easier than others to do it, and it becomes more natural to some more than to others. Definitely, I've had that experience too. And what I found was some part of what Kevin mentioned before about when you're learning another language, making sure that one is at a very high level first before taking on a similar language, because I think that is the biggest challenge to language learners when you learn, say, Spanish and then you go for Italian, and then you just find that your Italian is so Spanishy that it almost feels like you're not speaking either language. You're speaking sort of an Esperanto version of Spanish and Italian together. And what I found, I had this with Czech and Polish when I first started learning. I learned Czech, and I lived in the Czech Republic, and my Czech was quite good. And then I wanted to learn Polish, and then I learned Polish, and I could no longer speak Czech very well. It just kept getting all these infusions of Polish into it, and it sounded more like Vlad speaking Slovak, with this weird mix. And that's how I ended up speaking. So what I did was I didn't worry about Czech. I just carried on learning Polish until I felt comfortable having a conversation, and then I started having conversations with both languages back to back, and just practicing that switching element. It can actually end up being the case that switching really, really quickly is something that you never feel 100% comfortable with. So sometimes you just have to live with that fact. It's like if you're talking about one subject and you jump to another all of a sudden in your mind, it's not that easy to do that from any subject, let alone languages. But it's not the end of the world either. Sometimes you just need a quick breather, a quick drink of water, and then you carry on. But as long as you're aware that it's not just you, it's everyone. Even happens to the best language learners, and the people who have been through this X amount of times in the past, and they still have this. I don't think I've met any even really, really good sound polyglots, like even Emanuele Marini, who's not here today. He is one of the best polyglots I've ever heard, speaking in a number of languages. Even he gets it, just going from one language to another if they're similar. But you laugh, shake it off, take a breath, and then you try again. And with practice it comes, and it gets easier.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to kind of piggyback on what Richard said. Definitely, like a lot of people want to be able to switch between languages very quickly, but few people actually like sit down and practice that particular skill, and it is its own skill. So yeah, I had specific instances where I wanted to get my Italian really good and my Spanish really good. I mean, I had them both at good levels independently of one another, but I wanted to be able to switch back and forth. So I would schedule my italki lessons back to back, like with maybe a 5 or 10 minute break in between, and you doing that over and over and over, you just get used to it. There might be a couple minutes where you're a little fuzzy between one and the other, but your brain gets used to that more quickly than you'd expect. So
thank you.
Well,
yeah, just like Richard said, I think it's just a matter of practice. Like, we really need to know those two languages, like 2, 3, 4 languages well, and then it gets really easy. It's like literally becomes like 4, 5 different sports types. So if you go swimming, you're not going to run, and the swimming pool, you're just going to swim, I guess. And I look at it that way. Yeah, it's just a lot of practice.
All right, great, awesome answers, guys. Alonso, you got a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this has been pretty much my first time actually like getting into like language learning, and I noticed during my experience, I've always had issues with listening. So I was wondering if any of you had any particular advice on practicing my listening more. Is it just a matter of constantly like watching movies in your target language? Is there an active listening method, or any thoughts on that? Or
I made a video about it. It's called intensive listening, and I just described about how I learned to understand languages. And it's basically a technique where I call it intensive listening. What you really do is you really sort of dissect the language into small chunks, and you pause and rewind, pause and rewind, pause and rewind, then bigger chunks and bigger chunks, and then back to the beginning again and again, until you just can't understand everything at natural speed on your first go. And then just go like that through the whole recording. It's a very, very laboriously tedious process, but for me, it works really, really well. I don't think this could be suitable for everyone because it's incredibly boring, but it's literally like putting your ears to the gym, something like that. After some time, it yields very, very good results.
I'll jump in. I'd say, make sure that while you're practicing listening, while you're watching movies and, I don't know, dramas or what have you, with listening to podcasts, make sure that you have regular input of vocabulary, because you can do a whole lot of listening, but if you're not adding new vocabulary to your repertoire, you're not going to recognize new words from the stuff that you're listening to. So just always make sure that you're still processing new vocabulary, once again, in context. And then, the more you do that, the more you'll say, oh, I recognize that word because I just learned that word yesterday. And it just builds on top of itself.
I've done a few things in the past. So for listening, I think there are a few different things that I've used. One is that I would take, for example, something that I'd listen to and then try and retell it in my own words to my teacher or to somebody who speaks the language around me, and then I consolidate my understanding of it, and I get used to how it sounds. Or maybe I might, if I'm listening to something with somebody else, I might ask questions to make sure to check my understanding. If it's songs, I find listening to songs and learning them and then singing them and understanding what they are, I find that really, really useful. I did that to learn Italian at university to really get my fluency in Italian. I learned to sing all of Eros Ramazzotti's songs in Italian, much to the chagrin of my Italian friends who said it was the worst thing I could have done. Then another thing I think I would do is I used, for a number of languages, my the use of subtitles. So I would watch a program either in the original language or in English with subtitles in the language I was focusing on, and actually use them to check how correct the subtitles were. So in the beginning stages, it would be, how much do I understand? How many words can I pick out? Because you're just sort of learning the vocabulary and you get in the start of the language. And then as I move beyond that, I would be checking for errors in the translations. And strangely enough, the numbers are the things they often get wrong, especially here in the Balkans. You'll hear a number in English, it's like they'll say 50,000, then all of a sudden they'll put like 5,000 in the Croatian subtitles, and you're like, where's that come from? And I never get why they don't get it right, but you very often see that. But you'll also see other things that just tell a different tale, and the message is actually the opposite of what they've said in the original. And it's quite cool to do that, and it's a fun talking point as well. And if you've got a native speaker by you who's just been reading it or just been listening to the other one, you can actually just talk to them and say, what did you understand in that scene? And see, my wife has had this before. I've quizzed her, and she's got a completely different understanding of what's going on, the same show that we're trying to watch.
Wow. All right. So I guess that's a whole download for listening. All these cool ways to up your listening game. All right. So it's time to move on to the next session. So we have 6 finalists. 2 of them can't make it. So no, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, 2 of them. Just make sure I got it right. 2 of them can't make it, so we're just going to introduce. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself? What's your native language and what's your target language, and what did you learn from that one challenge? So, who likes to go first?
I can go.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I'm Helen. Actually, it's Hélène because my mother tongue is French. I learned Greek for this challenge. Okay, well, I wrote that before. When I started Add1Challenge, I didn't know anything at all about the world of polyglots. I didn't know any apps. I didn't know italki. I didn't know there was a community. I found GreekPod 101 and I thought I found everything, the holy grail. I I felt like a newbie. I discovered a new world, and I'm super grateful. So I felt like I did like a huge amount of, I learned so much. Like I learned so much. Thank you.
Let's see, maybe the question is too broad. So let's just say, let's just pick one thing you learn about learning, like what you learn about language. What's the most important thing for you regarding to language learning?
Most important thing, that I need to speak. I need to talk. I can read books. I can do grammar. If I don't talk to someone, I'll never get good. And that was the hardest part for me in the beginning, to actually just get out of the comfort zone and try speaking, because I had a big blockage. And I said, you know, like, I think this is the way for me to go, and I was not wrong. So now I'm not shy anymore.
Right. You don't seem shy in your you don't seem shy in your videos, which is great.
I am, but
all right. Okay. Next, who wants to share? All right,
I go next. Yeah. Hello, my name is Alonzo Williams. My native language is English, and I'm currently learning. Well, I was learning Brazilian Portuguese. I'm still in the process of learning, as a matter of fact. One of the key things that I learned from the Add1Challenge, I discovered a lot about myself. For one thing, I discovered how afraid I was of being uncomfortable, and the Add1Challenge definitely broke me out of that. It's funny because before I had joined and I was learning Brazilian Portuguese, and I laugh each time I think about this, but I had it set in my mind that I was going to become like this brilliant polyglot by just locking myself in a room and studying words every day, you know? But I didn't realize that I had to actually go out and speak to people to really, really learn the real thing, you know? I always compare it to, like, you know, a guy who's like in the boxing ring. I mean, in the boxing gym, he's hitting the speed bag and punching the punching bag and everything. But by the time when he gets in the ring, it's a whole new different story. Like he's never like fought before in his life. So that's how I compared it to language learning. It was definitely good to do all the practicing and the studying and the flashcards. But at the end of the day, I still had to get in the ring and you know, converse with actual native speakers in order for me to improve and really see what it's like to speak, to communicate using a new language, you know. So I'm very thankful for that, and yeah, that's pretty much the main thing that I learned about myself and joining the Add1Challenge.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem.
I can go next. So I'm Kristen Russell. I learned Spanish for Add1Challenge 19. And the biggest thing for me in the Add1Challenge is how I've learned how to make time for language learning. That's always been my greatest excuse. And I'm a CEO of a very busy small business, and the fall is our very busiest time at work. And so previously had always never done any language learning during our busy season, but this Add1Challenge, it took place entirely during our busy season. And this amazing mastermind team that Alonzo and I were a part of meant that we couldn't let up for even a minute. There was not a day where we didn't have to write 30 sentences because you had to, because everybody in your mastermind group was doing it, you know? And so somehow I found the time, and it's just amazing to me. Like Helen, I am very grateful for what the Add1Challenge has given me. So thanks, guys.
I guess that leaves me last. So my full name is very Spanish, and that would easily give me away. It's Jose Maria Enriquez Ferrer, but all my friends call me Jojo. So I am originally from the Philippines. My native language is a Creole Spanish called Chabacano. So there's really few speakers of that compared to, you know, other big languages. But I did learn English early on growing up, and I also learned the national language Filipino in school. this A1C18 is actually my second Add1 challenge. I did A1C12, which unfortunately I was not able to finish. And I just submitted my day 90 video for my third Add1 challenge a couple of days ago for Italian. The one thing, yes, the one big tip, I guess, that I can share with everyone else that really helped me too is exactly what Helen said. It's get to speaking early, speak often, speak as much as you can. I think that's a really good language learning tip for anyone who wants to learn new languages.
Right. Thank you for introducing yourself. And there's also two more. Two more who can't make it because of an internet problem. One is Brianna and one is Henrique. And Brianna learned Italian, and her native language is English, and Henrique's native language is Portuguese, and he also learned Italian. So I just want to acknowledge them. They're not here, so we're not going to go into that. But we also want to acknowledge their hard work for the 3 months that they were in the Add1 challenge. So, the judge, is there anything that you'd like to say? There's a lot of people, so we don't have to cover everybody. We don't have time to cover everybody. But is there anything that you'd like to say to the finalists?
I just want to ask, Alonso, do you do boxing?
Oops. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used when I lived in Virginia. I'm living in Houston now. I used to box. Yeah.
I was into that too. I was into that too a lot. So when we meet at one of those conferences, you know, we can do something.
We can exchange both sides, man. Hey, I'm a big boxing fan, bro. So
that sounds like a very different challenge.
Boxing challenge. Add1 boxing challenge.
That would be great, man. I would love it. Thanks, bro.
All right. Anything else besides boxing?
Yeah, I want to pop in. I always say this at the end of these challenges, but I want to compliment everyone, all the finalists and everyone who participated, because it's a really kind of brave thing that you guys are doing, in the sense that most people that want to learn a language, they'll crack a book, you know, they'll learn some words and stuff, but so few people will take the next, the biggest step almost of actually talking to a person. So signing up for a challenge like this, where you are quite literally obligated to do it, it's really brave on your part to say that I'm going to do this, and then put yourself in a position where you have no choice but to do it. So, you know, good on you guys for doing that, for taking that big step. Okay, and that's for everybody.
Great.
Yeah, I think I'd also just want to echo what Kevin said and say, you know, we all have days as well, and I'm sure, you know, we all feel, you know, anyone who's done the Add1 challenge, or anyone who's learned a language anyway, you just have those days where you don't feel you've done enough, or it's not sticking, it's not going forward, you feel like you're treading water. But I think one of the things that this shows, this finale, is that actually from the day 1 videos, or the day 0 videos, to the day 90 videos, that there's such an improvement, and it's documenting that improvement that's really crucial. And I think it's something that the Add1 challenge does offer, and does really show you and demonstrate to not only to everyone else and to all of us here, but also to yourselves, that actually, you know what, even if I did miss that odd day, or I didn't do as much as I hoped I'd do, and I felt that the words weren't sticking, I look back now and I've got all of this video evidence of what I did, and I really have put a stamp on this language, and I have made great strides forward. So fantastic job to all of you for doing that, because that's now there for everyone to see. So you've all really done well, and you're all winners. So really, congratulations, and thank you for being examples and inspirations to other people who will come across your videos and come across your stories of your language journeys over these 90 days.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Richard is really good at words. He always makes me feel so good.
Sentimental for a minute, man.
Richard, your English is so good.
I know, it was like a 90-day challenge. It was like, you know, you should have heard me last year.
Magical, magical. All right, so now it's everyone made a lot of progress, and a lot of you who are in the finalists are also really a big contribution to the community. So I'd like to really thank you for you sharing your story, taking, not only just taking the step, also sharing with people so that other people can actually hear your story and get inspired in the community. So I really want to thank you for that. But we also need to pick a winner. So for Google Effect doesn't work anymore, so I can't do the jump thing anymore. But so the winner for the Add1Challenge number 18 is Helen. Yay!
Thank you.
You won. All right. Congratulations.
Way to go, Ellen.
Congrats.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Helen.
Bless you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you feel all the hard work that you put in? Okay, I think you're happy. Let's just put it that way.
We made her cry, guys.
She's very happy. Okay, all right. Okay, so now the next winner in that Add1Challenge 19 is Kristen.
Yay!
That's crazy.
Congratulations.
What?
Congrats.
Guys.
It's real.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks. I was so honored to be included in finalists, and I just was so amazed by Alonso and Enrique and my mastermind group. I just thought, wow, these guys so deserve this more than I do. And I just wow, thank you. I'm so impressed with everybody in this challenge, and I'm not very good at doing my rewards that I say I will do for myself in the Add1Challenge. So this will actually make me do the reward of taking a trip. So thank you, guys. Wow. Wow. Amazing.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. Kristen, hey, I want to say that during our chances of working with each other, you were definitely an inspiration to me. Because it was moments when I lacked motivation, but those moments when I would watch your 30-day and 60-day all the way up to your 90-day videos, for some reason it gave me that drive to keep going. I was always impressed with your day-to-day challenge. I mean your day-to-day videos.
Wow.
So congratulations from the
Thank
bottom
you.
of my heart.
Thanks, Alonso. You rock, man.
Yeah.
You're
Thank
amazing
you.
too.
All right.
Yeah,
Wow, guys, thanks.
Yeah, it's very clear. Alonso, Jojo, Brianna, Enrique, you guys are all amazing, or you guys wouldn't be voted to be the finalists. I wish I could give you all a ticket, but there's only so many. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So congratulations! I'm really happy for you guys. And Helen, is there anything you'd like to say? You okay now?
I guess Kristen stole the words from my mouth. I feel so honored. Just the way I found out how it was picked as a finalist was funny because the email went into my junk mail, so I didn't even know. I just opened Facebook and I saw my face and and people commented. I was like me? Like, what am I doing here? I'm with all these pros and I know nothing. And it's just like, I don't know what to say.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It's not really about being pro or not. It's about just you putting the work and sharing your story and supporting the community. So it doesn't really matter what level you're in, as long as you're doing the work and also sharing and supporting people. And it's very hard, but you know, congratulations, guys. All right. So thank you so much for all the participants. Also, thank you so much for the judges. They did extra
Thanks,
work
guys.
to watch the videos, to come in and talk.
Thank you very much.
They don't have to do this, but
Thank you,
so
guys.
I really appreciate you guys. So how can people find you guys? Can you share again where?
So anyone's for the judges or us?
For
I was like, I'm not sure anybody wants to find me, but anyone's welcome to find me on Facebook.
For the judges, I mean, sorry.
I'll say mine. Yeah, I'm actually not very much active outside of Facebook right now. There are things coming, but you'll find me on Facebook. I kind of float in and around the polyglot community and also the Add1Challenge. I'm hoping to be in one of the next Add1Challenges for the next language I would like to learn. So if you'd like to meet up with me or talk with me, I'll be around there. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin_Morehouse also. So yeah, go with that.
Right.
All good,
I'll
huh?
go next.
I was waiting for the silence there. I was waiting for you to just
Yeah,
come on, and then I can interrupt Vlad. That's what I was waiting for, just to interrupt him. Seriously, though, you can get in touch with me on my Facebook page, which is Speaking Fluently, and there's a Twitter account linked to that, which you should be able to see from there. Just speak in fluently, like without the G, and then to catch up with me in person, you can come over to the Polyglot Conference the end of October, which is something I put on every year with a great team of people. And I'm also going to be going to a couple of events elsewhere. So in June, at the very start of June, there's the Polyglot Gathering in Bratislava, which is being put on by some good friends of mine. And you can catch up with there if you're going to be around. I'm also going to be at the Language Fest in Montreal at the end of August. So yeah, if you get in touch with me and you're interested in any of the events, want to know more about it, obviously my one is the Polyglot Conference that I'm running myself, so I know more about that, but I can definitely give you links and pass on information for you to find out more about the other events going on too. And I hope to see as many people as possible. And if you ever see me at an event and you see me surrounded by people, never be afraid to come up and just say hi, because I always like saying hi to new people. Thanks for having me, and thank you for everyone for their inspiration as well.
I just wanted to congratulate everyone and every participant again. You did a great job. So congratulations to the winners. I run a blog about languages, which is called Forever a Student. But I'm not very active there. I'm more active on my YouTube channel, which is just basically my name as Vladimir Skulteti. You can basically find videos about language learning there. I wrote a book about Chinese characters, and you can find that on my blog too. So, and once again, congratulations to everyone. Did a great job.
Thank you so much to the judges and Brian for all your hard work on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you guys,
Yes, thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
thank you guys. So if you guys like to join the Add1Challenge, it's go to add1challenge.com and find out more, or you can just type in Add1Challenge on YouTube and you see all these inspirational people who are taking the plunge and working in their language, and you can see their progress. Really inspiring. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a good day. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Congratulations again.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Congratulations.